Peter from A&P-REACTS. I'm here today with Aleksi from Balance Breach. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Summer has finally arrived to Finland, or to me at least. I might be a bit sunburned, but it's fine. We've been doing some interviews lately, considering the album release, and it's been really great.
I want to start off a little bit before the album. I want to go back to last year, 2019. You guys played at Tuska. You guys won the opportunity to play at Tuska. Looking back at that point in your career, how important was that moment for the band?
Well, it's hard to say. Of course, we reach new audience with winning that whole thing and by getting the access to play in Tuska. And I also think that it helped with getting the record deal with Out of Line. And yeah, at least it was really important thing for us because playing at Tuska is a big deal for every metalhead in Finland.
Was the experience of playing everything you had hoped for, everything you had dreamed of?
Yeah, totally.
Were you guys nervous before you hit the stage?
Yeah, we were, but there was like a month between the winning the whole thing and then the Tuska festival, so there was time to be worried and scared before that actual gig.
Did your families come out to check you guys out? Friends, family came out to see the show?
I don't think that our families were there, but a lot of friends and that kind of people.
Did you guys miss any notes? Did you miss any lines? Like when you were singing, you're like, oh man, like what's the next word? Ah, crap, I can't remember.
No, it went really. I think it was the best gig by ours this far.
After the show, how long after did Out of Line Music reach out to you guys, or did you guys reach out to them? How did that partnership between Balance Breach and Out of Line Music come together?
It actually happened really naturally, and there was a lot of coincidence also. I met the boss from the label by accident after the Slayers gig, and that's kind of how it all gets started. And soon after Tuska, we were sending some demos to Out of Line, and a couple weeks after that, we were sending more demos and so on. And at some point, we were talking and negotiating about signing, and then we met the boss from the label in Helsinki, and it just happened.
It just clicked.
Yeah, it just felt a right thing to do. We have heard the artist view how it is like to work with Out of Line, and everything we've heard and everything we talk with the label, it just felt like a right thing to do.
Yeah, they have other bands from Finland on their label, the Blood Red Hourglass, more Stuvita, other bands that are signed with Out of Line Music. Did that give you a little bit more of a sense of comfort that they knew what to expect from you guys? They know how the Finnish metal scene is?
Yeah, totally.
It's better than working with somebody who's not familiar at all.
Yeah, that's true. And also the fact that Out of Line is growing label and they're looking to the future. I think they have pretty bright and ambitious vision about the future. So I think it's good thing to have when you're signing with a label.
How much work went between you guys and the label as you're putting this album together? Did they give you the freedom to do what you needed to do, or were they involved in the process of putting the record together? How was it?
In general, music-wise and everything, we could do what we wanted, and they didn't touch to anything or tell what we should do.
So full freedom for you guys, like newcomers to the label, debut album. You guys do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, we do what we want.
When I was listening to this album, Dead End Diaries, by the way, coming out July 3rd on Out of Line Music, when I was listening to the album, the first question that I had in my mind was, I had heard you guys before. When we started our YouTube channel, you guys were one of the first bands that reached out to us and asked us to check out one of your videos. So I almost feel like I'm part of the band at this point. So you guys signing, you guys signing with Out of Line Music, it's almost like I signed with Out of Line Music. So I'm living vicariously through you guys. I hope you don't mind. I hope you don't mind.
That's fine. And I think there's a lot of people who's doing the same thing. Our friends who've been a part of this for so many years. So I think
it's a nice thing. It's a nice thing for you guys, and I think it's a nice thing for the people that supported you before you got there. So it gives you a sense that, you know, like these people are what they're saying is truthful because they've been with us from the beginning. I think that gives you a little bit of sense of security, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So as I'm listening to the album, the first thing that came to my mind was, how long have you guys been working on these songs? Because you guys have been a band for a long period of time. So my question was, were the songs on the record songs that you guys have been working on for a long time, that you had them done in the past? Or did you guys work on tracks specifically just for the release, or it's a mixture of both?
Basically, they are all new songs and they are all made for this album. I think the first one that was even close to finished was this song called Most of This, and I think we started working with it in 2017. But I think most of the songs are done in like past couple of years, or even like in the last year. Some of the songs we started writing at last summer.
Is knowing that, because you've recorded songs before, you guys have done tracks before signing with the label, knowing that you're working on music to be released as your debut album, did that add extra pressure for you guys instead of just creating music that you're going to release as a single here and there?
Yeah, I think it did a bit, and it was also a new thing for us to work with that many songs at the same time. Before, we have always worked one specific song at a time, recorded it and released it, except the EP that we released 2015. But overall, it was new thing, of course, for us to do the full-length album, and thinking that it's gonna be our debut album. You can do debut album only once, so of course there was.
I totally agree with you. You have to make that first impression count, because you're not going to have a debut album twice.
That's true.
Did you guys overthink a little bit when you were going through this process? Because you're like, okay, this is our debut album. We signed with the label. A lot of eyes are going to be on us. I think this song is good, but oh man, I think maybe it needs a little bit extra here. Did you guys go? Was that how it went when you guys were putting the record together?
I think that's how it's been always with every song that we've done. But we've always thought that we have a good balance in the band, a good mixture of guys, and some of us are more like perfectionist, and some of us are easier, like sooner ready to release the song. Some of us think it's good enough and good to go.
Do you guys have a perfect, not a perfect, but do you guys have a specific way in which you create your music? Is there a creative process that, okay, one guy takes care of one thing, the other guy takes care of the other, then everybody comes together? How does a song become a song within Balance Breach?
Since 2017, we have been doing the writing process every time by having the whole band at the same place at the same time. And usually our guitarist Terho has a riff or two or some melody that we start to work on and creating the song. At some point we start to see what kind of the song this will be, and after that I think it's pretty easy. But overall, we've done all the songs by being every one of us is taking part to the process.
And do you feel like that is something that it's going to continue to happen as you move forward? That this is something that works for the band, you guys are comfortable with, and regardless of having to go into the studio recording a full-length album, you're not going to stray away from that process.
No, I think that's definitely a thing that we're gonna continue in the future, and I think it's a thing that you can hear from our music, and I think it's part of us, it's part of who we are and how we do music.
How was the time in the studio for you guys? Was it creative? Was it stressful? Was it fun? How would you categorize the time you guys spent in the studio recording this debut album?
Well, drums are actually only instrument that is recorded in like a real studio, and Antti took like 5 days to record the drums for the album, and after that we started to record rest of the instruments. We didn't want to rush the whole recording thing, so it took a while, and we didn't rush anything. But overall, it was really fun thing to do. At least for me, I enjoyed it a lot. It was like a bit different vibe to record when you know that these tracks will be on our debut album, and which is an album that a real label will release, and the vibe was a bit different than before.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit of extra energy even when you're a little bit tired.
Yeah.
I can see that. One of the things that I took from the record, listening to the album, I felt the structure of the album. If you're looking at the track list and the way the structure of the record is put together, it felt very traditional from a metalcore perspective. It's not an album that has like a peak at the beginning, a soft song in the middle, and then it peaks again, like the more traditional sense. This is more of like speed bumps. Like, like you go up with more intensity, then there's a song that's a little bit more melancholic, then a little bit more intensity, aggression, then go down a little bit. So it has like all of these speed bumps, which to me is a very traditional way for a metalcore album to be put together. You normally don't have too many changes from that. The changes happen within the songs themselves with the clean vocals, harsh vocals, the more melodic parts and the more aggressive parts. Do you feel like this is the way Balance Breach sounds now? Or you think that perhaps with more time, with more experience, you guys will venture and try to create more, I don't know, more interesting or different structures within your albums? How do you see that?
I don't know. It's hard to say. Of course, we had long discussions how we should arrange the tracks for the album, what should be the right order for the tracks. But I think it's perfect now. There's a lot of ups and downs and a lot of dynamics, like you said. But right now, it's really hard to say how it's gonna be in the future, how we're gonna create the whole album.
This is more. I felt like this was something you guys were comfortable with. Is that fair?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I felt listening to the album that I was like, okay, they could have gone a little bit more experimental, thinking outside the box, like we're the new guys on the block, let's do something different. But then as I'm listening to the album, I felt, no, I think they wanted to do something that they were comfortable with so that they could be comfortable with the final result. And that's the vibe that I took.
Yeah. It's like you said, I think that we have to do this income, and after that might be a better time for like really trying something very different and experimental.
But for now, this was it. I think that was the right choice, though. I really feel like it allowed the album to be more natural, more organic, to be more who you guys are. It's the album is a reflection of the band. I really feel that about the album. And one of the things I want to ask you about, because to me kind of caught me a little bit off guard, and that was the symphonic elements that you guys added to the overall sound that the record had. I took it from, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I took it from this perspective. The symphonic elements you guys added to your music on this record had two different factors. One, it added melody to the tracks, that's for sure. But I think more important than the melody, it added this incredible atmosphere to the way the song sounded. Was that the reason why you guys included those incredible keyboard soundscapes into the record?
Yeah, that's how it is. We're always, our main focus creating music is to express that specific feeling or atmosphere as strongly as possible. So at some parts, when you add some synths and effects and something something like that, it makes it the whole atmosphere much more something you can feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really felt it helped the emotion of the lyrics and the emotion of your vocals, because then you could almost picture what you're saying.
Yeah.
And how much did you work on your vocals going into this record? Is that something that you had to? You don't want to blow your voice. You're recording multiple tracks. You're not just doing one song. Did you have to take a different approach as far as your vocals are concerned?
I don't know. I think I did it like I've done it always before, and all in all, it happened really naturally.
You just went to town. It's like
Yeah.
I don't shit. I'll just have some drinks, do some sauna before each take, and then just sing my heart out.
Yeah, that's how it went. Of course, there my oh, I'm hearing myself on the speakers.
Yeah, it's fine here.
Okay, so what I was saying. Yeah, it might took like 2 days to record one song, so of course there was some free time between the recordings, and so it wasn't that hard for my voice.
Okay. Did you have a favorite track on the album? Because I'm going to ask you about my favorite track on the album, but do you have a favorite track on the album?
It's hard to say, and it changes a lot. Someday I think that this one is the best, and next day I think that this another one is the best. It depends of my mood and how is the day like, and I think it tells something also about the album. There's like music for every day of the year and for every mood.
I agree with that.
Yeah, it's such a big one.
It's very diverse.
Yeah.
It has a very diverse sound to it. And speaking of favorite songs, one of my favorite songs is Double Down. I love that track. It kicks serious ass. How was the idea for that song? How did you guys come together with the idea for that track?
Terho, our guitarist, shared the main riff of the song, and it was pretty fast clear that this one is gonna be a really aggressive and mean song, and that's how it all started. The whole song came up really fast, and because it was this aggressive song, I felt like the lyrics have to be also some kind of somehow angry and aggressive. And then we had a WhatsApp conversation with our good friend Sauli, and we were talking about our frustration that might come up sometimes when you feel that things don't go as you wish they would go with the band and hold this thing. And I think by that whole conversation, I wrote the lyrics, and that's how it came up.
It really comes across in the track, because I felt the track, like you said, you can tell right away it's going to be an aggressive track the way it starts. But to me, beyond that, it's a very emotionally strong song. It really it hits you hard musically, and then it hits you hard with the lyrics and with the vocals. It's a song that goes full circle.
Yeah.
So now that you have the album coming out July 3rd on Out of Line Music, once again, Dead End Diaries by Balance Breach debut record, we're in the midst of a pandemic. So how are you planning, or how is the band planning on promoting the record? Are you guys thinking of doing some streaming? What are your thoughts?
Well, at this point, streaming a gig doesn't feel like a thing for us. But of course, we're planning what we're gonna do and how we're gonna stay connected to our audience. We have had this conversation about what kind of content we should publish, maybe some kind of video on YouTube or social media to keep us connected with the audience. But I think right now a gig stream or something like that isn't really a thing for us.
Yeah, it's tough times, especially for you guys being a young band with a debut album on a label. This couldn't have came. I mean, it's nice that you have an album out and people who can't go anywhere, at least they have new music to listen to. But
Yeah.
so that's the positive. But the negative side is not a lot of shows, not a lot of availability for you guys to play shows. So it's like it's good on one hand, and then there's the bad on the other. So I really feel for you guys.
Yeah, it's not definitely a best year to release a debut album, but we just have to try to take the advantage of this whole situation and start working new music. And
Yeah, I started working on new. I mean, think you have to also think this way. A lot of bands that are postponing their records next year, it's going to be overwhelming amount of bands releasing albums at the same time. So maybe it's not a bad thing after all, because at least now with people being home, you give them a chance to listen to new music. Next year, if every band is releasing an album next year, then it becomes even harder for people to listen to a new record, to a debut album.
yeah, that's true.
So you have to always look at the cup being half full.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Aleksi, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate you sitting down and chatting about the record. Once again, best of luck with the release on July 3rd. Dead End Diaries by Balance Breach coming out on Out of Line Music. For those watching, if you haven't picked it up yet, go pick it up. It's a great record. You guys really, I feel like I've known you guys for a very long time. So this album to me just shows how much you've grown from that first video that you guys send me the link to check out on the channel. The difference between that and this is feels like 10 years apart, even though it's not 10 years apart. But it just shows how much you guys have grown as a band and knowing exactly what you want from your sound. Congratulations.
Thank you. And thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Take care.
Take care. Bye.